Hello and welcome to Chapter 7. Chapter 7, something that you have worked with many times, but without you knowing. It's how we collect information through the web. We collect information or data through the web for many different purposes, and some of them to allow you to log into a website, another to allow you to purchase by collecting data from you, and also information that allow you to send messages, send feedback, all these kind of things. So, for instance, this is the exercise we're going to be doing this for tutorial 7. So, in order to collect that information, we have to have what we call a form. The form has a lot of components. We call them controls. And the controls have different names, like the text box, option radios, checkboxes, text area, drop-down menu, some people call them combo box, common area, and also expression web has upload files. So in order for this particular form right here, in order to process or to be handled, so we have what we call form handler, which is these are scripts are added into the form via maybe the old styles Perl or ESP, ESPX. Expression Web uses ESPX. The new one is PHP or using Adobe, the Dreamweaver Cold Fusion, or the most popular one is JavaScript. These are languages are embedded into as a script into your form handler in order to process that data. And the data goes through a special gateway, we call them Common Gateway Interface or CGI, to store this data somewhere. So it could process to go and save in a special page as an XML or CSV, which is text file, or into a database. The database could be Microsoft Access, or could be a SQL, or could be MySQL. So those kind of databases, that information that is being processed and stored in there for future purposes. And in the same token, I can use form to access this data from whatever is stored. So we have two type of submissions. We have either to post data, that you mean to process it, let it to go from one place to another, or to get data is to get data from another existing files, like for instance XML, text files, or databases. So we're gonna be doing something similar to this. So I'm hoping that, but we'll do one form handler is a very basic. I'll probably email you about this, and I'll show you how that is done in the form property. So I'm gonna switch to my expression web, and I already accessed my tutorial 7 folder and went to the tutorial folder. I'm going to open star.html and file save it as starnew.html, and I'm going to give it a special name, and that name is going to be Starstream Deli. Click save. One thing that a lot of students make a mistake with, the form is actually added by itself. It cannot be put in a paragraph. It can be put in a div tag or div element, but cannot be put into a paragraph. You can put it in a table, but you cannot again put it in a paragraph. The form has to be inserted first. That means the form tag has to be inserted first, and all the controls has to be inside the form. If you start entering the controls by themselves without adding the form first, Expression Web is going to add a form for each control, and you're going to have ton of those forms, and that page will be extremely hard to process. So the first thing we need to do here is add the particular form tag in order to work with. So first thing I'm going to do, I can insert the form tag from this toolbox. So I'm going to double click to insert form. Again, if you have paragraph, you can replace the paragraph with it, but you cannot insert form inside the paragraph. So inside that form here, I'm going to do different things. I can double click on it to go to property. And let's talk a little bit about this form properties dialog box. This area here, please do not touch. If you have a front page server extensions, and that's what we use at least at Highline, great deal to process information as a via email or to a database. So we use that options. But again, this is really a dead technology. It's not used. Some servers do support it, but not so many servers do that support anymore. Here is some of the languages that we talked about using the script to process the information. So with this option open, and here we're going to name that form. So when that form data comes to you, you need to understand what it is. So then the form name is going to be survey, and I'm going to go to options now. This is not in the book, so I'm hoping that you are watching the video. So in the option, I'm going to tell it what to do. Here I'm going to say, send me this particular data via email. So I'm going to put my email address. Now this will work just in case your Outlook is set up on your own computer. If you don't have any default email program, this handler does not work. I want to post that data. I don't want to get it. That's mean I'm not collecting it from the database. I want to post it. I want it to be processed as only plain /text. I just want it to be a normal text. I don't want it to be formatted. If it's formatted, they have to add a little bit more script to it. So I'm going to click OK. Click OK. So now I have the form. Inside that form, I'm going to start adding my table to organize my controls. So if go back to that particular page, I can see they're all lined up nicely. The reason they're lined up nicely because we use table to organize them and lay them out nicely. We're going to insert a table in here, and the table is going to be 8 by 2. So I'm going to go table, insert table. It's going to be 8 row, 2 columns. Alignment, I'm going to center it. And the width is going to be 80%. And we can leave cell padding and cell spacing. And the border for now, I'm going to make it 2 and color blue or navy blue. And I'm going to collapse the borders. Then click OK. Then we're going to highlight the cells. Right click, go to cell properties. Make the borders 2 and also navy blue. This is just to help us to see where everything is. And once we're done, we remove all the borders. Okay, so first thing I'm going to be doing, based on our information we have, we're going to start adding content. So I'm going to probably cheat and copy and paste. So I'm going to put ID number. What's going to be the first one? ID number is going to be right in here. Then in here, I'm going to insert my first text box. So to insert the controls, I'm going to scroll down to see all the form controls. I'm going to look for input text, which is this one right here. I can double click if I'm already in here, or I can drag and drop. So when I'm already in that cell, I'm going to double click to insert it. Then I'm going to double click to go into the property of that control. And each control has to have a name. Each control has to have a name, a unique name, and no spaces. And we can type with hyphens, but no dots either. So hyphen or underscores, that would be fine. So the first one is going to be called ID underscore number. And the book is talking about resizing the text box by using the handlers. I wouldn't do that because when you start doing this, you're creating a style, and I would not be appropriate thing to actually do. So to resize the text box, I would type how many characters this text box is going to have at the width-wise. So we're not restricting how many characters in there. We're only saying there's only 10 characters. This textbook does not talk about validation of the controls, but Expression Web does have some kind of validation to validate how many characters you can actually add in this text box. And if I want to add something quickly here and to tell the viewer or the visitor what to type, I can type it in here. Please enter your ID number, but this will be a regular text the user has to delete. Okay, so I'm gonna click OK. So what happens is trunk, and the next thing I'm gonna add is validation number. So I'm gonna copy this, go back to my Expression Web. In here, I'm gonna paste it as a text. I'm gonna add another text box here. Double click to go into property, and the text box name is going to be val underscore number. This is going to be again 10 characters long, and it's going to be a password field. What does that mean? That means either it depends on your browser, either asterisks or bullets will show in that text box. Preventing people from viewing important information or important data. So click OK. Control S to save. I'd like to save as often as possible. So these are the text boxes. So next thing I'm going to add my options radio. So I'm going to add this content right here. So radio dining into the third row. And I'm going to add a group of radios. Now, it's true I said every control in the form has to have a unique name, but for the radio options, if you want to group them, that means that those group names, the group has to have the same name. So if you have two group of radio options, like for instance female and male, so we both have the same name, gender maybe, and you just select allowed to select one of them. If each radio option has a different name, then you can allow it to just select all or select one of them. And this is not what we want. So I want to make sure I want to add a radio option that has the exact same name for all of them. And I'll show you probably the best way of doing it. And has all the same name. So I'm going to double click in input radio, double click on this radio right here to go to the property. I'm going to name it rating. After we name it rating, we're going to add, I don't like those number, but probably has a purpose for calculating it later. Then I click OK. I'm going to copy this. Go at the end of this control, hit Shift Enter, Control V, double click on there. The rating is still the same. The value is going to be changed to 2. Click OK. At the end of this radio, I'm going to hit Shift Enter, Control V, double click into this radio, change the value to 3. Click OK. At the end of this radio option, I'm also going to hit Shift Enter, Control V, double click, then I'm going to type 4. Now I'm going to not select this particular options. If you wanted to make a decision for the user, then you can select one of them. In this case, I don't want to. So I'm going to just click OK. Other ways of doing it, you can just add values like, for instance, very good, good, or average, or poor. So let's see the text we're going to add in here. Very good. So right next to the first one, so number 1, it means it's very good. It's good. The number 3 is going to be average. Then poor. Let's just align them a little bit better by adding spaces. Control S to save. So I'm going to save this and view it in the browser. Now allow me only to select one of them or none of them. Okay, let's go back to the Expression Web to continue on. So the next thing we're gonna add is checkboxes, and checkboxes allow us to select one or more or all of them if you are interested. There are some scripts allowing you to only select 3 out of the options you have in there. But this additional coding you have to add, and we're not gonna touch this stuff at all. I'm gonna copy this content here, go to expression web, and my 4th row, I'm gonna add it. Now here, what I disagree with the textbook, but I can see the purpose of it, how it's gonna come. But that is fine. I'll show you a different way of doing it. So I'm gonna insert the checkbox first for this one. It's right here. Double click, go into the form, the control, and I would say here, now that's what normally they say, room, then yes. So if you check that box, that's mean that's something that you're not satisfied with would be the room. I'm gonna insert another checkbox at the end of this, so I'm gonna hit Shift Enter, copy this and paste, type here services, say yes here, and I will test this later, showing you how that works. The third one is gonna be food, then yes. The fourth one is gonna be price, and yes. Shift Enter, Control V, and the last one's gonna be the menu. Then here's gonna be yes. Then click OK. Now we're gonna add a label to each control to identify what this control is. So again, I'm gonna just copy and paste. The decor was not attractive. Just tell me about the room. Edit paste as text. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this on my own. So I went ahead and I typed all of them, or copy and paste. So I'm gonna go back to the browser, refresh. So now I can select one of those, but I can select as many as I want from the checkboxes. And that's just the difference between the option radio and the checkboxes, allowing me to select only one of this group or one or multiple of this particular group right here. The next thing we're gonna work with is adding a drop-down menu, or sometimes call it combo box. Let me add the content from here. So I'm gonna type, how often have you dined with us? It's gonna go in here. And here I'm gonna add what we call a drop-down menu or combo box. And I'm gonna go into that combo box and give it a control name, visit. We added the drop-down box, but we need to add those list item that goes in the drop-down box. So the first one, I'm gonna type modify, and I'm gonna say 1 and value 1, then click OK. I'm gonna add 2 and check the box for specify value, that will be 2. Add 3, add 4, add 5, but here I'm gonna type 5 or more. And the same thing here, 5 or more. Then click OK. Click OK. I'm gonna save. Go to my browser. Refresh. Oh, wrong one. Gonna refresh. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or more. How about I want to add something similar to this, what it says, number of visits. So let's add this number of visit as stated right here. So my expression web, I'm going to double click into this control, go back to the property. I'm going to add number of visit without value because we don't need this. Click OK and move it up. And I want it to be selected. So we didn't say selected. So I'm going to double click on it and click selected. So that would be the first one. It's appears on your drop-down box. Click OK, save, go back to the browser, refresh, and we have number of visit, and we can select the items we want. Let's minimize this. The next thing I'm going to add here is the common area. So the difference between the common area and the text box, the text box allows you only 256 characters, where the common area allows you to add a lot more, maybe up to 1,500 characters. Depends on the program. So right here, I'm going to add the common box, but first I want to add the instruction for the common box. So from this content right here, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And here I'm going to add my text area. Dreamweaver called common control. Double click, type comment, and here it's telling me how many characters width-wise. You can type 35, and number lines, I'm going to type 5. Then Control S to save. In my browser, I'm going to refresh, so I have now more of the content I'm working with. And how do I submit it? So I've collected the information I want. How do I submit it? So all I have to do is just I need to add one more upload file here. So let's go ahead and upload the file here. It says submit your context photo. And here I'm going to add a upload file or input file control. Again, you have to have a server that accepts this file, and you need to know where this file is actually going through. But this is actually really good if somebody want to send you an email with an attachment. That could be used that way. So I'm going to double click this control, and I'm going to give this name the control photo. Click OK. To add control to submit and reset, I'm going to align this right and go right here, just double input submit. And here I'm going to double click input resets. Those as by default submit or reset. We really don't have much to do with this because it's already set up. This is session 7.1.